What's going on, guys? Kigerr here. And I had a very long talk with Jed Baca, really big guy for Marvel Future Revolution, Doctor Strange community. And we talked for over 2 hours about Doctor Strange ups and downs in all the game modes. In this video, we're going to focus on the Dimension Duel. Tomorrow is going to be Omega War, and Friday will be the PV game modes. You're gonna see a little jumping around because some of them went a lot longer than others, and I don't want to have you sitting through hour-long videos. So excuse the little bit of jumping around, and let's jump into it. What's going on, guys? Kigerr here, and today I'm joined by a big guy in the community for Doctor Strange's, Jed Baca. What's going on, man?
Hey, Kigerr, thanks for having me on stream today.
Of course, if you go to my Discord, links down below. Jed Baca's already tried helping out several people with their Doctor Stranges, getting stronger, how to do things and such. So I wanted to bring him on so we can talk about different game modes with Strange. First, you want to talk to us about Dimension Duel, right?
Yes, sir.
So what you got for us skill wise?
All right. So today, one of the two builds that I like to play with, one is based around bladed defense. And so what I really wanted to do is like kind of figure out, right after the patch, like how can I make this a viable skill? They did some changes with bladed defense. Let's see what we could make shake out with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, tinkering around, doing a bunch of testing, getting killed a bunch of times in Dimensional Duel, trying to figure this out and figuring out, all your stat combos and what you need to prioritize. I just came up with a basic cookie cutter, build that is kind of getting me through.
Okay.
So with bladed defense, I'm using ring repulsion. I'll just list them off right away. So ring repulsion, Vishanti assault, bladed defense, soul predator, and gateway launch. So, with what I just listed out, let's go ahead and figure out, what does everything do?
Yeah, I
Why
can see
why are
you
we?
got the three main damage skills right there, which are all plus
Yep.
6 from
Mm-hmm.
your regional set, and then you
Yep.
have the two in the middle, which I think are the most interesting ones.
Yeah, so for me, the two in the middle. So right now I have highlighted, Soul Predator, and why I'm using Soul Predator is to really help with stacking the layers of defense that I could be able to have at my disposal. So from a skills perspective, this is one of my two avenues from a skills perspective. I know there are other traits and everything that we will get into later, that could be discussed and whatnot. But from a skills perspective, we have increasing melee damage for 15% for 3 seconds, and which is why you hear me say yes. I like to box as a Doctor Strange. So this is just another item that helps me get in close proximity to my target, and if I in a and I'm benefiting a defensive bonus by staying in close proximity to my target. So it only behooves me to be right next to you, on top of you, because if you do a damage skill to me, I have this extra 15% of damage mitigation on me.
Yeah, and the 500% damage is nothing to laugh at. Follow that up with the bladed defense,
Yeah.
which also does damage. I also believe when you soul predator after bladed defense, it hits both, right?
Yeah, so one of like, just the generic combo that a Doctor Strange could use just with these two skills, right? They would be able to use Bladed Defense into Soul Predator. So now look at what we're doing here. We're with Bladed Defense, we're getting our defense buff, and then we're also casting damage around us. I mean, we see right here on screen that we're damaging the targets around us. Now I'll tell you this: I fought some Black Widows throughout times where how like at the end, you're right at that last like little bit of hit points. You do the critical damage on them. They don't die. They end up getting the heal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've actually noticed that I can sit on top of that Black Widow and this will help negate the health that they're regenning off of that, which allows me to hopefully get another quick hit in. Like, whatever skill I have available to me, I'm pretty much mashing at that point. I don't care what's happening. I'm like,
Now,
oh my god, please.
something important I'm seeing here is between just these two skills right here and
Hmm.
why the boxing style kind of works is if
Hmm.
we look at, let's say, the duration and the cooldown, we have
Hmm.
21.6 seconds here with 9.5 second duration. The other
Yep.
was 11.4 second cooldown with 3 second duration. Now, that
Hmm.
doesn't sound like a lot, but remembering that most characters max out at 50% cooldown, whereas
Yep.
Strange can go to 65,
Yep.
we're looking at, I was just doing the math in my head, full uptime on Bladed Defense, and roughly 4 second cooldown on Soul Predator with a 3 second duration, which is 75% uptime.
That sounds about roughly similar to what I may be remembering right now. Yeah. Yeah. And right now I'm only running 50% cooldown with my trait setup. So yeah, you're pretty much in the ballpark right there, and you're probably spot on if I had my cooldown a little bit higher.
Yeah, if you're able to get, if you're able to max out yourself up to the 65, then your
Yep.
Soul Predator will effectively always be up. And the interesting thing is, I believe the melee damage decrease, the 3 seconds, only starts ticking after the animation is over, which the animation takes about a second, and the cooldown goes into play as you click the button. So if
Hmm.
it's roughly 4 seconds, then the 1 second animation, and then the 3 second duration. That's 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So you'll
And
always
so
have Soul Predator up.
Yeah, and so think of it this way, like, right after you come out of a soul predator, you may never know what skill you're going to have available to you right away, depending on where you're at in the field of play and how the match is playing out, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's nice about this is that you can almost feel like you have a little bit of an extra security blanket if you know that you're like out of dodge or something like that, and it's like, okay, I know I'm going to take a hit after this soul predator. I need to do some massive punishment back to this guy while he's casting on top of me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like those are kind of like the thought processes that go on through my head while I'm playing this build. You have to think intelligently when you're doing this, because it's like you have to time everything out. You have to make sure that you're really trying to keep your uptime on bladed defense with this, and that's what makes this a viable option for a player, is that you're really using your skill based, damage mitigation to dictate how you're able to play throughout the match. Because I'll tell you one thing, Kigerr, like you and I, we've dueled,
Mm-hmm.
and you've hit me from range, and you see how much damage I take. I
Mm-hmm.
take a massive amount of damage if I'm not in close proximity of melee range of you. You hit me from afar, yeah, I'm taking a massive hit. So when you play a build like this, you actually have to think about the full blown play style. Like, I'll get in there, I'll do a little bit of boxing, and then you'll see me fly away and get my buff back up.
Well, the interesting
That's
thing here is you have your two defensive slash offensive skills right there that we've been talking about the majority of the time.
Mhm.
But your other three skills are the cookie cutter three major skill damage skills, right? But number
Yep.
one, number five here, both in the situation that you had mentioned, you Soul Predator. I know my opponent is going to go on me once my Soul Predator is over. What do? You have
Hmm.
slot one Ragador, which creates distance when you cast the skill, which will help you escape. And then if
Yep.
you're in that exact position you had mentioned, the whole okay, I know I'm fucked. I need to punish them in return. Then you have Gateway, right?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and move on to the next skill. We'll just go ahead and move into Ragador, right? So this is obviously our bread and butter to be able to get some damage out. And not everybody's going to have 50% cooldown, right? So it's important for us to make sure that we use the skill intelligently to make sure we get damage in on them. We need to make sure that we create the opening to get the damage in, which is why I like to play a boxing style, because when I do this, I am forcing the other player to play my style. I'm forcing them to deal with me being up in their face so I can create the opening so I know when I could finally land a Ragador on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what I'll do, like in one of my combos, I'll already have bladed defense up. I'll soul predator into the target, and if I land right on top of them, and I realized that I made a very grave mistake. I'll use Ragador, as you just said, and it'll help push me off, and then I'll dodge right away off of that. And then after my dodge, I'll even airlift, and then I'll speed fly away, because we all know Doctor Strange has very smooth flight mechanics. So any of you Doctor Stranges out there that are not a Doctor Strange yet that would like to get into Doctor Strange, not that I'm going to advertise or anything, Doctor Strange has like the smoothest flight mechanics in the game, right? So I can easily dodge, airlift, speed fly out, get all the way to the other side of the arena. By then, what's back up off a cooldown? Usually my Soul Predator and my Bladed Defense. So then that way I got my defenses built back up. I already have Bladed Defense back up. And the target's usually chasing me because they think they have me on the ropes.
And it's time to put me back in, coach, right?
Exactly. Now it's like, now I'm playing rope-a-dope. They think that they got me. No, I'm playing possum on you, buddy. Like, come at me. So then they come in at me, and then I Soul Predator back into them. What's happening now? I'm mitigating more damage, because while you Soul Predator, again, you're getting invincibility while you're shooting through them. So here, we're gonna invent straight through them. I'm gonna land on the other side, and I'm gonna do a punishing skill, whether it be my rings, or if it's gonna be my Vishanti Assault or my Gateway. So for ring repulsion, there's a couple of different ways you could be able to use it. Just like how we have different builds for our different game modes. We gotta this can be just like a boxing option versus like a ranged option for Doctor Strange. This in mid fight, you could use this one skill as a dual purpose tool as well. You could use it as offense and defense, and maybe not a lot of players would actually think that using ring repulsion could be able to help them out in a defensive situation. But I just gave you a combo right there that could be able to get you out of this shit while using your ring repulsion.
Yeah, you just Soul Predator, ring repulsion, and you're on the other side of the map.
Yeah, already getting my Bladed Defense back up.
Now you had a second build to show us, right?
Yeah, but let's go ahead and we can go ahead and cover the last couple of skills too, because obviously we wanted to give everybody the whole bee's knees, right? So but for Vishanti Assault, I love it. Why? Because it's got highest guard break on there, and if you are able to, as a Doctor Strange, to be able to build extra guard damage in your build, man, get it in there, because it's funny watching people get guard broken, and on top of let's say if you use the Shifting Sands trait, to get them banished. And so the last skill for the last skill, Gateway, we all know it's like pretty much the big boom tube. It's another cookie cutter skill that a lot of us use, but again with the dual purpose on here.
Well, my favorite thing about the Gateway right here is with the current Hulk meta is a lot of people like to hide behind their Hulk. You can target said Hulk and then hit them behind him. And let's talk about this other build. I see a new skill there.
Yeah, so again with the cookie cutterness, right? I'm not trying to make this, very difficult, because all us Doctor Stranges, we can, mix and match and Frankenstein things, right? So easiest way for me to be able to get this one out is just, we swapped in Tranquil Guardian. Now, what I love about Tranquil Guardian, there's a couple of things here that we got with Tranquil Guardian. One, we're gonna remove all the debuffs from ourselves. And then we're going to get an uptime of debuff immunity for 14.2 seconds.
That's a long time.
And so, Kigerr, we were just talking about cooldowns and whatnot, right? And so if we were to do the math of being able to get this on, think of all the characters that use condition-based damage.
Yep. You have Widow that gets 30% if the target has a debuff. You have Iron Man that gets 30% damage if the target is bleeding or burned, which is primarily
potentially even Captain America.
You got Captain America, which needs the target to be bleeding as well. You have Spider-Man, which wants to web you. Almost all the characters. I mean, even
Star-Lord.
Well, Star-Lord with the chill or flame, but even the newest Magic has damage over time and transform you into a frog, which obviously
and let us
happen.
not forget Storm with bubbling and shocking me to death. So that's this cookie cutter build, man. It covers such a wide array of everything that's out there, because there's so many conditions out there, and so that's why I love running a variation of something that has Tranquil Guardian in on it.
Now, the only one that doesn't really have anything to hit you with is Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
The only thing she has is defense down, which I don't think is worth a skill slot to stop.
right. And like for me, since we're talking about all the various classes and whatnot, for me, I won't run Tranquil Guardian against another Doctor Strange, even though that they have that's there's a fair amount of Doctor Stranges that'll run Barrier Curse, which can snare you.
Mm-hmm.
I run my bladed defense build on them because I usually like to box Doctor Stranges up in their face, and because a lot of them aren't used to that, like they are but they aren't, but I won't fully get into that. But back to what we got here with Tranquil Guardian. I love this skill because, like we just said, dude, like all those classes, they're all using variations of some form of condition on me, and this helps me mitigate that. And if I also got a really decent cooldown on here, yeah, I'm gonna have a very serious uptime with this.
Now, the only thing I wanted to ask about was you're obviously using the Soul Predator still.
Yep.
Is there any argument for astral projection? The Astral Walk?
So, Astral Walk is. I like Astral Walk because it has a quicker cooldown on it, and you are applying a debuff to your enemy. By what I can't remember what the stat is. Like, it is the damage boost. I can't remember what percentage it is, but I get that doesn't matter. But we know that there's a damage boost that's there. Oh yeah, yeah. Geez, Jed, we have the skill right in front of us right here.
30%.
So yeah, we're So there we go. That's 28.58% ain't nothing to scoff at. Which this is something else that I like to toy with too in rotation on the Soul Predator. Like this is if like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just go kamikaze today.
Glass cannon, yeah.
Yeah, this is glass cannon Jet. I'm just gonna roll and see. All right, well, as Machine Gun would say, like 15 seconds and I'm done and I got my load blown. Like that's what I'll do with this.
I did my job, but and then
yeah.
we actually have a third option on the same skill list of the taunt clone, right?
Yep.
How do you feel about this?
So, I do like this. I would love to personally make a good viable build for me that works. I'm not going to say that this is bad. I'm going to say that I just personally haven't been able to play enough with this, but I do know of players that have made this work for them. That like, when we were talking even off air before, like, with comboing this with Hulk, like that's a smart move. It's a similar to play to that of Captain America. Combo this up with.
You said Hulk, so I had to say fuck. So I mean, keep going.
No, yeah, fuck Hulk. But yeah, as much as I'd hate to promote the use of Hulk and whatnot, it is a smart play because now you're able to double provoke a target and to be able to. That's another avenue of damage mitigation. Provoking the target. What is the target not doing now? They're not hitting you and doing damage, right? That's the whole point of it. So yeah, play to the strength, So I would love to make this something that I could do. The weakness that I see with astral projection is that I feel this may be just a personal. Well, I feel kind of tied, right? I feel like my mobility is now lessened by this. I'm probably talking out of my ass when I'm saying this, but I just haven't played with it enough. I just kind of feel like I need to kind of be around this illusion because it's also going to be a targeted item that the enemy hits.
The downside that I see of the avenging illusion is something that I pointed out earlier with the other skills is it doesn't really flow as far as the cooldowns because even with the 65%, you're looking at 15-second cooldown with a 10-second duration. So I mean, you have a whole 5 seconds you have to get through, which both of the other skills, the cooldown is done by the time that you're ready to start using it again. This can be a little bit different because I believe all the ones are different here because like Avenging Illusion is illusion magic, so it gets a little bit more cooldown, right?
Yeah, well, Yeah, without straying too far from the topic, I mean, there are different ways that we could be able to mitigate the cooldown of even this skill right here. If you were to, run more illusion based, there are different avenues that we could do to
Mm-hmm.
really chop down this cooldown here. But is it viable? I have yet to prove it myself. I know that others have proven it to be successful, and I'm sure that they have their timing down on when they need to drop this. This is since a lot of players may not be able to have that opportunity
So
to get
skill
such a high
testing.
cooldown cap, like what they'll need to do is they'll need to figure out, okay, when do I drop this? Because I'm almost a one-trick pony about this, right? Like they got 2 provokes, yeah, but they need to make sure that they land that and get whatever damage out that they need
Mm-hmm.
out.
And you wanted to tell us a little bit more about Gateway, right?
Yeah, so Gateway is pretty fun in all game modes, right? It's our big boom tube, and the big weakness about Gateway is that, look at what you're doing. You're just standing there.
Mm-hmm.
You're just standing there while the whole skill is casting. But what does it also do? It also tracks the enemy while they're running around you back and forth. So this I like to use it for both offensive and defensive purposes. It's on one hand you could be able to use it as like serious damage to the target, especially if you're running like, let's say your active trait with, that has banish in it, where you get them on the ground, or if you have enough you guard break the target, you punish them with gateway, they're going to eat the whole gateway.
Mm-hmm.
Serious damage that comes out of it. The second play style is a defensive play style. Someone comes in on you with gateway, and you use it and it pushes the target off. Now, like, I wasn't always a gateway user myself until I actually sat there and actually tested it for quite a bit and was like, okay, I'm now buying into using gateway into my dueling world, because I used to actually use Tau Mandalas instead of gateway, because I like the tracking instead of using gateway, because I like playing more of the touch and go, as a touch and go Doctor Strange, because I always felt like, why are you locking me to the ground with gateway? But after this update, yeah, man, I feel much more comfortable using gateway, because the animation, it is a little bit quicker off the gateway, so you can pump it out. I do notice that it actually shoots the whole beam actually shoots out a lot quicker since the update that they did.
Sounds good. So I think we've hit pretty good on the skills here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to go and talk about the specializations.
All right, so
And this is a
uh
fun topic.
yeah, this is a fun topic. So specializations, man. So you could really Frankenstein a lot here with Doctor Strange. So let's not just talk about one build, but like let's actually like look at this, like the full spread we got here, man. So Hogarth's Blessing, man. Like this I like to use in all my game modes now, like, because you're mitigating this much more damage, right? I mean, aside from PvE, like PvE, you don't need to really mitigate much damage unless you're dealing with such a huge raid boss that it's just gonna one shot you,
Now
right?
I do want
Maybe
to
you'll.
be I want to be clear right here.
Okay.
They're really weird about their wording and all the specializations. This is specifically 18% melee damage decrease.
Yes, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I'm sorry, I should have pointed it up right away. This is also another one of those skills, that one of the active traits that I use for my bladed defense build. And yes, because you have to be right next to your target, and you have to be in a boxing mode with it. So for me, when I'm building my builds, I love to use Hogarth's Blessing, because again, I like to play up close and personal to the player. So great point that you brought up. Sorry I missed that.
That's all good.
But yeah,
Continue.
yeah. So next one up is time manipulation. So we were talking about the illusion skills earlier, right? We
Mm-hmm.
talked about using uh, uh, the our bind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we're using our bind, we that's an illusion based skill. We could decrease the remaining cooldown of the remaining skills by 25%. So what you're able to do here is, if you can't hit cooldown in all of your stats, with whether it be your cards, your gear, in your armor or whatnot, in your badges, if you can't really hit cooldown, well, for me earlier on, this was a great crutch. But what I ended up doing is making sure I budgeted to have an illusion skill in all of my builds, So then that way I could chop down the remaining cooldown by 25% on all of them.
And if you are able to push those cooldown numbers, this can still be a crutch or safety net. As far as, let's take a look at your build in particular. Uh, you have Soul Predator. You Soul Predator through the target. Um, and then you immediately use an illusion class skill, which will give you the 25% cooldown. If your cooldown is already pushing the 65% range, you're ready to immediately do another Soul Predator.
Yeah, and and Kigerr, just I know that this is kind of going back on the skills and whatnot, but like, let's say if you wanted to go balls out with your build, I mean, like, let's say if I swapped out just my utility skill for a barrier curse here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now with that, now look at what this build changes. Now by adding that one skill in, now look what we've done. We've changed ourselves into a machine gun. Now we got Rings of Ragador, Vishanti Assault, Gateway, that much quicker. And then for me, my bread and butter now, Soul Predator, dude, I'm now machine gunning Soul Predator through you all day long when I'm doing it like that.
Yep. Just
You know,
always clicking the
so
button.
yeah, exactly. And so it's like these are avenues that open up to you as you get through and get things going more. So that I guess really like the big benefit out of using this is it's great for all game modes. It's great as a crutch. It's great as even for end game use for anybody. So if you find your skill combination to go to fit this in, more power to you because you're just gonna up your DPS that much more. Because
Mm-hmm.
us as Doctor Stranges, we love having that cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, going to cooldown, Waves of Despair.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be more for when we get to the higher end of, I wouldn't recommend this until you could actually be able to clear, over 60% cooldown,
Yeah,
right?
I was saying
Because
65. This makes it 63.5. Close enough.
exactly. Yep. So I wouldn't run Waves of Despair until you are able to fully max out and go above and beyond your max cooldown. But dude, I'll tell you, like in my PvE builds that I got going on, my PvE build, I got 63% cooldown going on right now, and this is lovely. It really is. I get the Soul Predator through big bosses like on recharge. Sometimes I don't even have enough stamina to deal with everything. It's nice. Yeah. Next up is Resonance, increased guard damage of illusion class skill. Now this is more along lines of do you want to build towards a lot more guard break? Now there are guard break specific builds out there, but I'll tell you this, Kigerr, when I run force field, for me, I'm always running resonance because
Because you're
I'm
machine
using
gunning.
my exactly. I'm using my bind. I'm always going to keep using that because that's my highest guard break skill, right? And with this ups me by 30% guard break, so guard damage. Why wouldn't I run this if I'm going to intend on machine gunning that skill from, in some cases, across the map? So
Mm-hmm.
so it also enables you to be a range DPS, to where you're going to range someone, guard break them, speed fly into them, and punish them with another Mystic Arts skill.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that would just be one example, but any illusion build that you got that you could be able to add more guard damage, and if you add it into your stats, I definitely highly recommend going with Resonance on there.
Now we've been going one by one here, but
Mm-hmm.
what set do you recommend for this build?
So for like which build, the bladed one?
Both of them. So you have the Blade Defense
Mhm.
and Soul Predator, and then you have the one with the Tranquil Garden.
All right, so for with what I'm running, what I like to go with is I like to go with shifting sands. So when we're building up our stacks to get the bind on the target,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and that knocks them on their back. And then bread and butter with cruel choice to get 20% mystic arts damage. Bread and butter with will of the destroyer to up our attack by 25%. Yeah, we all hate the
Yep.
cooldown that's on here. We all wish it'd go away. And then for me and my playstyle, yes, I do run Hogoths because it's more melee damage mitigation that I'm doing.
Do you have anything else that you move in and out depending on the matchup?
Uh, With the game modes, yeah, only between PvE and PvP. Sometimes if I'm feeling like I need to, if I'm having a bad day where in DD, I'm seeing a lot of people that are able to like deal with me and they're playing the ranged game for me. That's when I'm like, okay, all right, guys, you know what? Screw you. I'm doing this. That's when I'm adding in. That's when I'm going in and I'm adding in force field. I'm gonna get my cooldown in, and I'm bringing out the big guns with guard break. And I'm like, okay, if you're gonna keep running from me all day, this is what I'm gonna bring. And then I'm gonna swap in. Then I'm gonna start swapping my skills around, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna be like, okay, that's when I'm going to be like, all right, here, we got Barrier Curse. I'm going to play the range game, but then I'm going to sit here and think about, okay, is there still a way that I could be able to budget in, Tranquil Guardian so I could be able to still mitigate the condition-based damage, or can I still be able to budget in bladed defense depending on what kind of mood I'm in?
Gotcha. And when you swap it, you have the two builds, as we've said. You have the one we're talking about currently, and then you have the one with Tranquil Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
When you swap to the Tranquil Guardian one, is there any specializations that change here?
No, the my specializations will stay the same. When I'm running Tranquil Guardian, I really am just sticking to using Shifting Sand still, and I'm still doing Hogos, because even with Tranquil Guardian, the only thing that changes for me when I'm using that setup is just a little bit in the play style, and then what I mean by that is like I have to start my match off with pre-prodding myself with Tranquil Guardian, and in the middle of the match, I have to figure my way to create distance between me and the enemy, so I can have enough cast time to be able to get Tranquil Guardian in again.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Otherwise than that, I'm going right back into the boxing ring.
to for the aspiring stranges in the specific game mode, but I think we've sprinkled quite a few just as we've talked about the skills and such. I think
But
it's.
okay, I got I
Oh, you
got
got
one
something?
I got one for you. I got one special trick up my hat that I didn't tell you about yet, though, Kigerr.
Okay.
So here, so this one's fun. So let's go back into our skills real quick, and let's take a look at Tranquil Guardian. Now, a lot of people don't know this, dude. A lot of people don't even use this. So this is hilarious. This is what got me playing Doctor Strange as a Tekken player, right? Because look at what you're doing right in front of you. You see when that hits, those guys are popping up in the
Yep.
air. Yeah. You want to know how to do that in PvP?
A guard break him.
You guard break them or bind them, like
Mm-hmm.
with the stacks that you're building on them.
Yep. 3
You
and 1.
bind a target, their back hits the ground, and for me, when their back hits the ground, and if I have Tranquil Guardian readily available to me, I use this right away. And typically, when I do that, it's because I'm still trying to buy myself one more second of cooldown off of my Ring of Ragador. This buys you an extra second of cooldown time to get them up in the air. They pop in the ground, they hit the ground, and then bam, I hit off with my ring
Start
repulsion.
comboing him, huh?
Yep. So just like Tekken, you're iframing them, you're juggling them, and now you're punishing them with more damage.
Well, I think it's now time to start talking about Omega War.